Welcome to Pat's Cast. I'm Brad Whitaker, still a bit under the weather, so bear with me as I try to get my voice back. But JJ McCarthy in the New England Patriots making the case for him coming to New England. And I know JJ McCarthy, a very polarizing topic right now. You poll Patriots fans, they don't want him. They don't want anything to do with him. It's like 10 to 15% of Patriots fans are like, yeah, bring on JJ. Everyone else is either in the Drake May or Jane Daniels camp. So just letting you know, I will do a similar video this week making a case for Drake May. Maybe I'll do Jane Daniels as well. It depends. It does seem like he may be going to the Commanders at second overall, but certainly going to talk about McCarthy and Drake May at some point this week. But JJ McCarthy had dinner with the Patriots on Sunday night and visited them at the facility on Monday. Who knows what he did? Maybe he did a workout. I'm sure he went on the whiteboard. But as of right now, we know that de facto general manager Elliott Wolf really likes the guy, and he may actually be pushing for the Patriots to draft him as high as third overall. And look, maybe people think McCarthy is a middle first round, late first round, second, third round guy, but it's up to a team to identify the quarterback that they like and draft him. And yeah, I think the best case scenario is the Patriots, if they want McCarthy, they trade back a couple picks, get some more draft capital, and still get the guy, and then get another late first rounder or future draft picks or whatever. But if they are confident that JJ McCarthy is the quarterback of the future in New England, then you got to draft him at third overall. Don't play any games. And there is a real argument for bringing him in. Now, JJ, look, we all know the red flags. We know that he didn't throw the ball a lot at Michigan. He has basically half the number of reps this past season as Drake May, Jane Daniels, Caleb Williams, who threw the ball a lot each game. And a lot of that was Michigan had blowout leads. They took McCarthy out of the game, or they just handed the ball off late. But it was a very run-first, pro-style oriented offense, and they didn't need to rely on McCarthy as much as some of these other teams did for these elite quarterback prospects. But here's the thing with JJ McCarthy, when they asked him to do something, he did it. And he did it at a much higher rate than the rest of these quarterbacks. Go look at the statistics. 3rd and 5, 4th and 5, throws beyond the sticks. Nobody in college football converted at a higher rate than JJ McCarthy. And the guy can learn, right? Like, the Michigan Wolverines basically changed up their offensive approach heading into the college football playoff. JJ McCarthy took it and ran with it and went back and forth with Alabama in the Rose Bowl game and ended up making clutch plays down the wire to ultimately bring Michigan to the national championship game, where they ultimately beat Washington and ran away with it at the end of the game. So, biggest thing about McCarthy is maybe he isn't quite as fast as Jane Daniels, but when you watch him move in the pocket, when you watch him escape pressure, he may be as quick, if not quicker, than Jane Daniels, at least running initially. Now, the thing with Jane Daniels is he's obviously the fastest quarterback in this draft. But, and I've heard this comparison, I think it was Greg Bedard who said it, Jane Daniels has a lot of Colin Kaepernick in him when he scrambles with the football. Very fast when he's running in a straight line, but you move him to the left, you move him to the right, not going to be as mobile as you would expect a quarterback like that to be. Now, Jane Daniels, unlike Kaepernick, probably has a much better arm. Certainly is more accurate than Kaepernick. But we saw early in Kaepernick's career, defenses didn't know how to handle him, and then eventually they made him go to his left and his right, and they were able to stop him at a much higher rate. And we could see something similar with Jane Daniels in the NFL. I don't think that's the case with JJ McCarthy, even though he doesn't have probably the 40 time that a Jane Daniels would have. Still very athletic, still very fast, and can escape pressure probably as quick, if not quicker, than Jane Daniels. Very elusive in the pocket. And that's the thing. We can all sit here and talk about Michigan's incredible offensive line, right? And all the protection that he had that he's not going to have in New England, or he's not going to have anywhere else in the NFL. But when he was under pressure, he was very elusive in the pocket. He was able to escape, and he was able to throw on the run. And unlike Jane Daniels, keep his eye downfield and not abandon the play even when he was outside of the pocket. And look, again, there are red flags. Like, he does wind up a little bit when he throws. he's not, I think he's 6'3". Like, I think the height is not as big of an issue, but he does look small out there. He certainly has a wiry frame, but he's tough. And most importantly, he protects his body. Like, when he runs downfield, he does slide. He does know how to prioritize when it is time to go for that extra yard or when it is time to just lay down and move on to the next play. And I think when you're looking for a quarterback that is very pro ready compared to all of the quarterbacks in this draft, even Caleb Williams, I think JJ McCarthy is ready to go, particularly because Michigan ran the ball so much that he actually has experience lining up under center. I mean, Caleb Williams, I think, took 7 snaps at USC lining up under center. That's just not something teams do in college football. But Jim Harbaugh ran a pro-style offense. That's not going to be difficult. It's not going to be a big learning curve for JJ McCarthy that it is for some of these other quarterbacks. Certainly has the arm strength. Not as good as Drake May. I get it. Like, he can't throw off balance the same way that Drake May can. He probably has to step into his throws a little bit more. But hearing some of these comparisons to JJ McCarthy being another Mac Jones is ridiculous. He has so much more arm strength than Mac Jones. And yeah, I know they both came from good situations. Mac Jones with Alabama, JJ McCarthy with Michigan, both national championship teams. But Mac Jones had much better receivers on the outside than JJ did at Michigan. I'd argue that JJ might have had a better offensive line, sure. But the guys that Mac Jones was throwing to were first-round receivers. The guys that J.J. McCarthy was throwing to are like middle NFL draft round, like Roman Wilson. Where is he going to fall? Is he like a third or fourth round wide receiver? They have a decent tight end in Michigan, but these aren't guys, these aren't Jalen Waddle, right? So he was able to make a lot more out of a lot less than Mac Jones did at Alabama. And he has the arm strength, but I think most importantly, compared to Mac Jones, he's tough. Like, he will bounce back after taking a hard hit and go on to the next play and deliver. And I think that is something you're going to need to see in the next quarterback. Now, I think Drake May has that as well, but you want a guy who is not going to be in the best situation in New England and who can find a way to thrive even when you're on a rebuilding team. And JJ McCarthy could potentially be that guy. Now, I also like his footwork. I think it's the best footwork of any of these quarterbacks in the draft. If you go back and watch his high school highlights, he had better footwork than Drake May does right now. So he's a guy that has the mechanics. Yeah, maybe he winds up a little too much, but for the most part, he has the mechanics of an NFL quarterback. And look, he's coming from Michigan. He's coming from playing under Jim Harbaugh. And I know Jim Harbaugh is probably overselling McCarthy because if 4 quarterbacks go in the top picks in the draft, well, then Jim Harbaugh can pick from literally anybody else at all the other positions. So, of course, he's going to sell JJ McCarthy. But that doesn't mean he doesn't mean it, that he doesn't actually think McCarthy is the best QB in this draft. And look, when I look back on Tom Brady, and JJ McCarthy is not Tom Brady. Just because they went to Michigan, they're not the same. But Brady, obviously not very athletic, didn't have the greatest arm strength entering the NFL. His footwork is good. It was good toward the latter half of his career, toward the middle portion of his career, but it left a lot to be desired early on. Brady did not have all the tools, but he had enough. He had the instincts to thrive in the NFL on day one and to know when it was time to take his shots. And that's the thing about J.J. McCarthy. When you're in this Alex Van Pelt offense, which is going to be an old school, new school, hybrid, West Coast style offense, they're going to be running the ball a lot, and they're going to be throwing dinks and dunks to Antonio Gibson, to Ramondre Stevenson, to maybe Zeke if he comes back, or another running back that they take in the draft. There's going to be a lot of short throws, quick plays, screen passes, but they're mostly going to establish the run, and that's how they're going to get the offense going. They're going to run a lot of zone runs because that's the way the NFL offenses are run these days. That's the way Alex Van Pelt did it at Cleveland. JJ McCarthy fits like a glove in that type of offense. And you're not going to be asking him to do too much. But hey, it's 3rd and long. I need you to make a throw, and the defense is expecting it. He was in that situation plenty of times in college. Hand the ball off on 1st down, 1 yard, 2 yards. Hand the ball off on 2nd down, 1 yard, 2 yards. Okay, now we're at 3rd and 6. We're at 3rd and 7. You have to make a throw, JJ. The defense is expecting you to do it. He converted at a much higher rate than all these other quarterbacks. I don't know. I think he looks the part, right? And yes, I know Michigan guy with the eye paint is tough, high IQ, good mechanics. I know we're drawing the Brady comparisons, right? But that stuff does matter a little bit, right? Like, it does matter. A guy that can win in high pressure situations, even Mac Jones. Like, look, he ran away in every game at Alabama, but how many of those games did Mac Jones win at Alabama that were close games? JJ McCarthy went into tough road environments in the Big Ten and won all but one of those games as a starting quarterback. He won at Ohio State. Mac Jones played at Alabama during the COVID season, so he didn't face these tough environments that McCarthy faced the last couple of seasons at Michigan. I think this guy is ready. I really do. And I've heard some people say, like, all right, he is the safe pick. And that is true to an extent because he is more NFL ready than someone that is raw and has a ton of upside like a Drake May. But he's not a safe pick because people don't think he's the third best quarterback in the draft. They think he's the fourth best quarterback in the draft. Some people think Bo Nix and Michael Penix are better than McCarthy. If Elliott Wolf drafts JJ McCarthy at third overall, Patriots fans in general are going to be livid. People are going to say, I'm going to root for the Browns now, or I'm selling my season tickets, or I've given up on this team. We're going to be rebuilding again. We're going to be drafting another quarterback in 3 or 4 years. It is not a safe pick. He is putting his job on the line, Elliott Wolf. He's going to have to get Gerard Mayo to sign off on it. He'll be putting his job on the line relative to if they drafted a Drake May, who people go, look, he may not start right away, and it's going to take him some time to develop, but people will be a lot more patient with a Drake May than they would with a JJ McCarthy. McCarthy, you're going to be in a lot of pressure to perform right away because we know his floor is probably higher than a lot of these other quarterbacks. I like the guy more than most. If the Patriots draft him, I will be excited. I am skeptical. I do see the red flags. Wiry frame, didn't throw a lot at Michigan, ran the ball all the time. Nobody was talking about JJ McCarthy as a top quarterback up until about a month ago. But the more you analyze his tape and just go watch his games, don't even watch his highlight reels. Just you can go on YouTube and look these things up. Like, pick a random Big Ten team that Michigan had to play. Look up JJ McCarthy every throw against XYZ team and just watch it, okay? And you'll see the good, you'll see the bad, and you'll realize, okay, this guy's elusive, but for the most part, he's very accurate, has a strong arm, really has a cannon too. Like, I think one of the issues with him, at least compared to a Drake May, is May has a lot of touch on the ball. Like, he knows when to throw hard, when to throw soft. JJ McCarthy, everything is a fastball. So that's a little bit of a concern, but he's going to get the ball into the receiver's hands. He has that kind of Brett Favre toughness in him. And I don't know. I would really like to see him in New England. I'm not saying I would be upset if they drafted Drake May. Again, I'm going to be making a case for Drake May as well. But let me know what you think in the comments below about JJ McCarthy. Do you think he is worthy of being drafted at third overall? And even if you don't like the guy and you want them to get Drake May or you want them to get Jaden Daniels, do you think JJ McCarthy still has the ability to thrive in New England? And another thing I'll mention, podcast I did a couple days ago, Tom Brady talking about potentially unretiring. I think it's a bit of a pipe dream. It sounds silly, but if, Patriots could talk him into it, bring him in for a year, I think he would love to mentor a young Michigan quarterback. Brady doesn't like having backups nipping at his heels, but I think he would be willing to do that for a year with a guy like JJ McCarthy. That opens things up a little bit more. Not saying it's going to happen, but, if you brought Brady back and you had McCarthy on the bench for a season, that kind of is the ideal situation. But then again, you have Drake May behind Brady too. Like, that's pretty good as well. All right, but let me know what you think in the comments below. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, or subscribe if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. And let me know what you think about JJ McCarthy in the comments below.